notes and
Okay.
looking at screen.
Okay. I'm starting
Oh,
recording now. So we're,
okay, perfect.
just let's get people caught up on where we're at in the coaching call. We're going over the most common strategies tested on the Series 7, and you didn't miss much. We're just finishing up with a long call. So short call is next. Okay. All right. So let's go to our next one here. Okay, so this you definitely should be able to recognize that this is not bueno here. This is really, really foolish. And we said the other thing you got to work on is vocabulary, right? So
Yeah.
we said there's a lot of ways on the test to say short. I could say seller. I could say, let me make that smaller font. I could say writer. I could say on the test it's an opening sale. You definitely need to know that opening sales are used to establish or add to short positions. And if you're a visual person, there's no graphing, but if you're a visual person again, options are all about floors and ceilings. And so once again, if we're looking at a call contract, and this is an Apple 160 call contract, there's our, let's put it down here, Louise. There's our strike price of 160. And we'll put XP, that means strike price. And we'll put that right there. And there's our floor. And we said if at expiration Apple's 160 or lower, the contract has no intrinsic value. It will expire worthless. And so, as we said, the best case is you agree to be a potential victim. Nobody victimizes you and you keep the money. So the max gain here is 9 points or $900. As I said, they will not on the test ask you both. It's one or the other. And as I mentioned, if you can track money, and you can don't struggle with contract specifications, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And so what I like to do, not testable, I like to underneath the strategy, the contract, the leg, this is called a leg, not testable, but what is this? This is an obligation to sell the stock at the strike price. I like to put that over there. And then what I like to do is I like to make my T to track money in and out. And so here we're going to have, again, I like to use dollars in, but we could use credit. We could use plus signs, whatever floats our boat. What I would really want you to be able to do it as a test taker by test time is to be able to track money in and out, not be struggling with contract specifications. Because if we can do that, you're in pretty good shape. Now, I like to use a point per share, but you can do, if you want, 900. I just don't like to do that because you get all kinds of zeros floating around. So that was an opening sale. And in terms of the market price of Apple, we do have a little bit of a cushion here. We have a little bit of a cushion. I mean, Apple can go up, and as long as it don't go past our cushion, we're going to be okay. And, our cushion, I'm basically saying to the other party, I'm going to take your bet. I think it's going to be, go up, maybe it goes up a little bit, but I don't think you're going to be right about all three things. I don't think you're going to be right about that's going up and how far on the timing. So I'll take your money. I'll take the bet, basically. And so I have that 9-point cushion. It's the same break even whether you're long or short. It's just a matter of where you want it to be in relationship to that break even. Right. So so again, we got our break even. Let's put that there. Break even is strike price plus premium. If you only remember one thing about options, remember call up, put down. Call up, put down. That's a great mnemonic for both break evens and intrinsic value. So in our case here, it's going to be 160 plus 9. And here we said the best case is you agree to be a potential victim and nobody victimizes you. Neener, right? So the maximum gain is the 9 points, but if you're wrong, uh-oh. So here's our potential.
Unlimited.
Yeah, right, because we got our here's our cushion. Come on. So here's our cushion. where as long as it stays between here, we're okay. But once it goes past that, ooh, and we said that is very testable to know that the max loss in a short call is unlimited. I can't imagine any draw of your Series 7 where you don't get asked that. I'm wishing for you, Raphael, a dream draw. Everything you studied shows up, and you go, I don't know what the big deal was. But there's questions that have high probability and have low probability. This has very high probability. Please don't say, well, Dean, what if you had the stock? Don't bring stuff into questions. If you had the stock, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Now, if you are going to memorize break evens, one thing I would suggest you do is next to the break even, make a little arrow up or down to remind yourself whether you're bullish or bearish. Right. And so here I'm going to put next to my break even 169 that I'm bearish. I want to go down from 169. Yeah, let's put that there. Now we're just doing a brief overview in our 30-minute coaching call that you won, but just by, just to give you some preview of other things, what, Raphael, are some other things that would expose a customer to unlimited risk besides this naked, uncovered call?
Sorry, what was the question again?
So you're held accountable for doing all the things that would expose a Morgan Stanley customer to unlimited risk, and this is one of them. My question is, what else could I do that would expose me to unlimited risk besides a short call?
Naked call?
Well, that's what we're doing right here. So
right here. Okay.
A short straddle, very testable, a short straddle because it has
Okay,
naked call, and short the stock. Right. So short the stock, short a straddle, naked calls expose you to unlimited risk. Now, Raphael, whenever there's three of a thing, they love the accept format. All the following, expose the customer to unlimited risk, except. Now, again, we're going over the basics, but if you didn't like that, you could put in a ceiling. And I would say, hey, listen, why don't we put in a ceiling here? Why don't we do a credit call spread? That's just a heck of a lot smarter. Let me just illustrate how you end up losing money. So let's put this in test phraseology. Your customer shorts one Apple December 160 call at 9 when Apple's at 160. At expiration, Apple is 180. Now, Raphael, I'm under no obligation on the test to tell you that that contract is going to get exercised, because you should know that if a contract has intrinsic value, it will be what? Exercised.
Exercise, yeah.
So I'm your Morgan Stanley broker, and I call you and I say, hey, Raphael, that 160 call you wrote? You say, yeah. I said, well, the reason I'm calling you is you received an exercise notice. And you have to deliver the stock at 160. And you said, well, Dean, what if I had the stock? I said, well, if you had the stock, Raphael, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. I would have delivered the stock, and that would have been the end of it. You say, well, do you know where I can get the stock? I say, Raphael, I do every day between 9:30 and 4 o'clock. There's a market for Apple. And you say, well, maybe it's less than 160. I said, again, Raphael, you're confused. If Apple was less than 160, we wouldn't be having the discussion.
Right, now you're going to have to go buy it at 180.
Right on, right on. And then you say, well, it could have been worse. I go, again, you're confused. It could have been worse. How much worse could it have been? Unlimited, right? Because once it goes past that 169, we start hemorrhaging money. So could have been worse. All right, so that's that one. So let's do our next one. We're doing our basic positions here. So let's clear this up. So we said that we have calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. And so we have 4 basic option position. All starts with the 4. So we went over a long call. We went over a short call. Now we're going to go over a long put, a short put. We're doing the most common tested option strategy, or these 6. We're working our way through the 4 basics. That's what we're working our way through. All right, so let's look at a put contract. Now, again, you can do this any way you want. I suggest that you have some kind of a process. Now, remember, we don't have to say long. We could say owner. We could say holder. We could say you do an opening purchase. Right, so there's a lot of ways to say the same thing. Now, the one thing they're not going to say on the test, and what you've got to get to, is that this is a choice. Because if you can get to that, choice or right, you're in pretty good shape, because you say, okay, I have a choice, and here I have a choice to sell the stock at the strike price. Excellent. Most people get hung up on these put contracts. I don't get it, ain't I? Buy it to sell it. So we have put-ers and we have put-es. We have put-ers and we have put-es. Okay, so again, I like to think of options as floors and ceilings. And so again, we're talking about a put. So let's put this here. Here's our strike price of 160. And if Apple is 160 or higher, the contract is going to expire and we will get to we'll lose our money. Now, by the way, that sounds like a bad thing that we lose our money. But of all the bearish things I can do, this is not a bad one, because if I'm wrong, the contract just has no intrinsic value and I walk. Whereas remember, if we do other foolish things as a bear, like short the stock or do a naked call, that's not a very smart thing to do. Right. So again, at some point, you shouldn't be struggling whether you buy a call, you buy a put, you buy a straddle, you buy a spread.
So your max loss here will be your premium,
always,
essentially.
right?
Yeah.
That's easy to qualify you. Is this the kind of money you can afford to lose? For everybody, that's going to be a different number, right? I always joke, Raphael, how funny would it be if you came to visit me in Vegas and you went to the casino, and it's a lot like our business, because it was like our business. They'd, Raphael, hold on, slow your roll here. We have to determine suitability. To give you this gambling disclosure document, Raphael, that tells you about all the bad things that can happen to you out on that casino floor. Raphael, how much are you willing to lose with us this evening in any one bet? Not only do we not do that, Raphael, we hand you some cocktails and say,
I know.
we'll help you with your math and your judgment skills, so knock yourself out. Now, here, remember, the stock's value can only go to zero, right? So, there's a ceiling here at 160 and the floor is zero. Okay, so as we said, if I really want to teach you options, I'd make you buy one. And once you're out of pocket, you'd figure this out pretty quickly, because you got to cover your out-of-pocket cost. Way north of an introductory call, but we got to turn that time value into intrinsic value. So when you buy an option position, you got to be right about three things. Direction, we're choosing down. Got to be about how far down. We're saying 9 points down. And we're saying all this is going to take place between now and expiration in December. Very testable. That's the third Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, right? Very testable. So our break even, you only remember one thing about options: call up, put down. So it's going to be 160 minus 9, because that's the amount of movement we're going to need to break even. So our break even here is 151. Now, remember, if you are doing a stock position, you only have to be right about one direction. If you short the Apple, all you got to be right about is direction. If you buy the Apple, all you have to be right about is direction. But with options, you got to be right about three things. That's why it's tough. You got to get the trifecta. So there's where we cover our out-of-pocket cost. We cover out-of-pocket cost if we can get this thing to go to 151. 151, that's our break even. Nobody does things to break even. So there's our break even. Boom. And what we're hoping is it goes all the way to zero, but anywhere below 151, we're going to make money. So anywhere below that, here we're going to lose money, but not our entire premium.
So your max gain here would be your strike price minus the premium?
Yeah, right on. Let's get our T fired up. So we're out 9. And the best case is we stick it to somebody at 160 and we paid nothing for the stock. Right. So yeah, let's put that in there. Now you can think of that as 151 per share, but it's actually 100 shares, right? So that would be 15,100. Right. Break even to zero, strike price less, premium to zero, however you want to think about it. And as I said, this is a smart bearish strategy. You're a smart bear because if you're wrong as a bear, you just lose your what?
Premium.
I always wanted a TMZ channel for finance, and I finally got my wish. I was watching TMZ, and there was a hedge fund guy who had shorted the stock, and I was kind of thinking, I don't know if I'd get on TV and chat up my short position, because that's not smart. Somebody could, take advantage of knowing that I'm short this stock.
Right.
And sure enough, this guy calls and says, you know how stupid it is to tell everybody you're short? All it takes is a guy like me to start buying the stock. By the way, while he's having the conversation, the stock's going up. I,
Right.
I think he actually called his broker and said, hey, start buying the stock. Anyways, the hedge fund guy lost about $1 billion. And he said, I'm still bearish on the stock, but I've changed my position. I'm now long the put. So moving forward, I'm only going to lose my premium. I'm not going to get, maintenance calls and all
Right.
kinds of other stuff. Now, last one we'll do on our coaching call this evening is the short put. So we're going to have put-ers. We got to have put-es. And again, it's just going to be the opposite. So when that dawns on you, you have half as much to learn, right? It's the same. It's just the opposite, right? You're looking in if we're going to have put-ers, we got to have put-es. And again, I'm agreeing to be a potential victim. I don't want to be victimized, but that's my worst case, right? And so again, what I think you should, we did that one. There we go. Again, I could say seller, I could say writer. And so really, in Morgan Stanley, I think you guys use past perfect, don't you? Or Notman. You
Yeah.
said using Notman. Oh, great.
Not Ben Kaplan. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. I was just going to
Do you
say,
like?
the
Do you
reason
like
I
them?
ask is,
It's pretty good.
not past perfect is, oh my God, they just torment people. I was just going to make a joke that you half the battle on doing their practice questions is just figuring out what you're being asked, but good news, you're using Notman. So,
Yeah,
um,
they're pretty good.
yeah. No, I love them. I love them. They're all good people over there. I'm just not, I'm kind of semi-retired. That the only thing is I just know I could never get back in the industry because the people I like are a little too more straight-laced for me. I'm not so sure I would do well.
I think you got a good thing going on.
Yeah. So
I think everything going on. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll just stay with my studio here in Fabulous Love.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It's
So I always
happening.
suggest that what you do is underneath the contract specification, particularly with puts, say, what am I looking at? I'm looking at an obligation to buy the stock at the strike price. And so I like to put that underneath my option contract, particularly on the puts. And so I'm saying, hey, you give me $900, Raphael, and I'm here for you. I'll buy the Apple stock at 160. Now, one reason I might want to do this is I might want to get paid to do something I'm already prepared to do, right? If somebody's prepared to pay me to buy the Apple stock, I might say, yeah, bring it on here. I might want to do this as an alternative to a limit order. Now, Mr. Buffett loves to write puts on stocks he's willing to own. So, if he writes the put and then somebody sticks it to him, he goes, thanks, I wanted the stock anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So here we're going to have, again, our strike price, which is 160. And here we can sustain a little bit of volatility. So in all these option strategies, you're either buying or selling volatility. So either volatility is your friend or volatility is your enemy. And so here we have, again, a ceiling at 160. 160 or higher, the contract has no intrinsic value. And that would be wonderful for me because then that means I get to keep the money. I get to go neener. And I can sustain a little bit of a hit, a little bit of downward volatility, because that's what I'm selling is downward volatility. So as long as it doesn't move too much, I'm still going to be okay. If it doesn't move too much would be it goes below my break even, right? My break even is 160 minus 151.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my break even. That's testable. Let's put that over here. Now, as I mentioned, if you're going to memorize break evens, I would recommend you make a little arrow to remind yourself where you want this to be in relationship to that break even. So this is
so in this case, a bullish. Yeah, bullish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, again, I don't know if I should tell you common mistakes. People get hung up when you got a credit position money in and you still have, you're still a bull. That's what you're hoping. Let's get our T fired up. We're doing an opening sale. Some people like to use pluses, debit, credit, whatever. I like to use dollars out, dollars in. But this is 9 points in. Right. So And it says our max gain. You shouldn't be struggling with max
Premium.
gain. Yeah, right
Yeah.
on. Anytime you collect money, they won't give you both on not 9 points or $900. Now, if it's 2 contracts, we would just double it when we're done, right? Or 3 contracts, 3 times that, whatever it would be. So, you know, we are bullish. We are bullish. And our max loss. Okay, well, if you don't want to
Strike
memorize things,
price minus a premium.
yeah, you
Right.
don't want to memorize things, you could just say, okay, well, the worst case is I'm going to pay 160
Right.
for Apple stock that is worthless. And then you can just net those columns and say, yeah, it looks like it can lose 15-1. Remember, it's the opposite of what we just did.
Yep.
Okay, so you have those 4 basic strategies. Let's just review what we were able to accomplish in our coaching call this evening. We were able to accomplish, let me clean this up. You said you requested in your coaching call as the winner that you would like to go over some basic strategies, an overview. And so I pulled and said, let's pull the 6 most common tested option strategy. We went over a long call, a short call, a long put, and a short put, all comes from that. And then we have a couple hedges that were held accountable. Now, the 9, I told you there's 9. Here's 6 on the slide. We did 4 in your coaching call. But what we didn't show you is how to hedge a short stock position. And we didn't show you straddles and spreads. That would be the balance of the things you're held accountable for. Again, it's not that you need to know there's 9 option strategies, Raphael. It's that if you know there's 9, I think it helps that there's not a gazillion things going on.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of these things. And then we had said we could use the options matrix for our 4 basics. And then we went over the long call. we didn't start recording until that one was over, but oh well. And with this one, we did that. We did our 4 basics. Okay. Anything else you want to cover in your coaching call here quickly?
No, that was really helpful. I
Okay,
just
cool.
wanted
It's
to go
reach
over
out
the
again,
basic
reach
one.
out.
Yeah.
It's a relationship, not a transaction. So as a winner of a coaching call, if you have a question or something, Robin, just send me an email and say, hey, Dean, can you help me out on this? What's helpful is if you have the QID number using
The
not
question D.
top right
Yeah.
corner, there's a little thing there. So
That's
watch all
good
their
to know.
videos. They're pretty good on the videos too. That Dave guy's pretty good. Kaz is
Right.
excellent.
I finished the video. I finished the video first, all of it, took notes, and then took the assessments. And so yeah, the videos are pretty good.
Yeah.
They have a book too, but a lot of people don't recommend, reading page by page,
Well,
spending like
yeah, I think of it as a reference tool. I always tell people I like to read when I'm studying, I like to read a book cover to cover just to see what's in there. Right.
yeah,
So see what it looks like book. And it's not, it's not wonderful reading, but I do sometimes get aggravated when somebody hasn't read the book. You shouldn't be doing questions to learn. You should be doing questions to take intellectual inventory where you're at. And then as you
yeah.
transition towards the end, you're going to start wanting to take some practice tests. So,
All right.
okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Find me if you need me.
Yep. All right.
All
Enjoy.
right.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night. Bye. Thank you.